am pleased to introduce this year's speaker, Mr. John Quiñones.
I'm a reporter first. I've been a reporter forever. It seems like all my life. But I'm also a host. A few years ago, we did this little show called What Would You Do? And you've seen it, I hear, right? So now you've been put on notice. You've been warned. You never know where our hidden cameras are. And if the person next to you, all I got to say, if the person next to you passes out and you step over them in a way to get some water, you're going to have me to answer to. I'm really, really happy to be here, and I've come because I want to inspire you. I want to fire you up. Maybe even touch your heart with some emotional stories. Make you feel something. I know that high school, and I speak from my own experience, can be a blast, of course, but it can also be, trying, a difficult time. You're still trying to figure it all out. You got to figure out who you are and what you want to be, and it can be confusing. And I'm here to try to encourage you to find your passion, to go with your heart. The shows that I do are all about emotion and the heart, and the stories that have made the greatest impact for me as a reporter have been stories that have done that. You start thinking about a career, I encourage you that, again, burns that fire in your belly. You have to disregard all the naysayers, the negative people. Surround yourselves with positive people who think like you do, and get away from the folks that are dragging you down. I hear about this honor code that you have here at this school, and I think the world would be such a wonderful place. There wouldn't be a need for what would you do, because everybody would be out there trying to do the right thing. But a lot of folks who see me on television have no idea where I've come from and what it took to get here. I was born in Texas, in San Antonio. I'm Mexican-American, born in the barrios, in the poor neighborhoods of San Antonio, Texas. And, I tell people we lived in poverty, and some folks say, we were poor, but we didn't know it. We knew we were poor. We had an old black and white television, and we saw how the other folks lived. No English. I was 6 years old. In San Antonio, when you live in these communities, everyone speaks Spanish, so I didn't have to learn English. Didn't go to kindergarten or preschool or any of that stuff. There was no bilingual education. We were thrown into the first grade not knowing a word of English, and of course my teacher spoke no Spanish. But back then they would punish us for speaking Spanish in class, and I had no choice. I didn't know English, but I learned slowly. But it was tough. I mean, in my neighborhood there were drive-by shootings, drug abuse. I used to shine shoes when I was 8 years old on Guadalupe Street in San Antonio, and I'd go with my cousin Joey because we'd go to these cantinas, these bars, because the drunk guys didn't know how much they were tipping you. So we made a killing. My father then got laid off. He was a janitor at a local high school, and my mom used to clean houses for a living. And when my dad got laid off, we had to go we joined a harvest. We joined migrant farm workers. A bunch of trucks left San Antonio, drove 3 days to Michigan, and we picked cherries, the whole family, my 2 sisters and I, and my dad and mom, and for 75 cents a bucket all day long. And then we followed the crops, and we went down to Ohio, just outside Toledo, and we joined the tomato harvest. And I'll never forget, being on my knees at about 6 in the morning on a cold, wet ground, and my dad looking, and I was looking at a row of tomato plants that seemed to go on for miles and miles to this 13-year-old boy. My dad looking down at me and saying, "John, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? Or do you want to go to college and do something better?" It was a long shot. It was tough. No one in my family had gone to college. My parents had barely finished grammar school. So it was a tough dream to pursue. But I surrounded myself with guys and girls and friends who believed like I did, who wanted to shoot for the stars. And I had a dream. I really wanted to be a journalist. My teacher, how we all have that one great teacher in our lives, And here you have many of them, I'm sure. But I had an English teacher, and I was at school in the inner city where people really didn't give a darn about where these Mexican kids would wind up. My buddy Luis Rodriguez from Mexico was the one who kept saying, John, there's this program called Upward Bound, and it's a government program, and we can go and they teach you remedial classes in English and math, and we need those. And if we go on Saturdays, we can learn more. And there's a program that keeps you all summer. It's like summer school. And that's what did it for us. But there was that one teacher who, in my English class, who said, John, you're a good writer, after I did a couple of essays. And she said, did you ever think of being a journalist? And even at the age of 15, I struck upon something that seemed to work. I worked for the high school newspaper, the Brackenridge Times. I was an investigative reporter doing stories about how the teachers shouldn't be parking in the students' parking spaces. And we went undercover and found out. And I encourage you guys, as you get a little bit older and you start getting an interest in whatever profession, to get an internship, because that gives you a taste of what that is like, whether it's the medical world or law or working at a law firm or broadcasting or journalism. It's a chance to get your foot in the door. I'm having more and more fun with What Would You Do, which suddenly just became a very popular show. And what really impresses me is that people like you, young people, are watching the show. You know, you guys don't normally watch 20/20, I don't think, or 60 Minutes, or maybe you do, because this is a very special school. But generally, across the country, the audience for news magazines is a lot older. It's been a lot of fun, because we get the chance to shine the light on, again, corruption, racism, discrimination.
So we wonder, how will people react when they see a service dog and its owner being discriminated against? And we asked this loyal service dog named Hercules to be our star. Our actress Diana portrays someone in the early stages of multiple sclerosis, someone who qualifies to have a service dog.
I mean, the dog is not doing anything, they're trained, and I don't know, I just felt it wasn't fair. I always have that thought, if we don't help one another, who's going to help us?
If not man.
So again, you just cannot judge by appearances.
You know, I just went to visit Mexico, and I didn't speak Spanish at all, and I was served and there wasn't an issue. I don't understand why there's an issue here. But you did.
And when you let in on our experiment, it's music to his ears.
I'm happy that it's not real, but it certainly
Touch the nerve.
yeah.
But why can't they speak Spanish?
Because they can't speak it. I have family that, I'm Dominican and Haitian. I have family that can't speak English. They're not here. They're not here.
So I leave you with that thought this morning, that, you know, when the little voice, you see something wrong, and the little voice in the back of your head says, do something, think about Linda Hamilton, this woman who was partially paralyzed, homeless herself, and she stopped to help a man who was down, not because she was going to get money for it, not because she was going to be on national television, but because, as we say in Spanish, because her corazón, her heart, told her that it was the right thing to do.
When you put cameras up, how do you know where to put the cameras?
Well, we have a great team, a production team, and they do this every week, right? So they're real professionals at this. They will set them up pointing toward specific tables. And then we ask them, if it's a restaurant, for example, and then we ask the people at the restaurant, make sure you set people at that table.
We've got a brand new 150th sweatshirt. Maybe this will make you there one day. But thanks for being here.